won it in their first year, runners-up in their second year, and this year, well, yeah, that story for the last 6 months has been their captain decided, didn't want to be there anymore, captain left, new boy given captaincy, and then what I think was an even bigger loss for them was just no Mohammad Shami. And suddenly, like Harsha, you talk about who is taking that team by the other team by the scruff of the neck or taking his team along. I think Mohammad Shami, as a bowler, as a leader of that bowling unit, did that. He would set up every game for them in the previous 2 seasons, and then everybody would bask in that glory and enjoy that Behti Ganga mein dubki. This year, with that not happening at the top, really affected.
And then around him, a lot of Rashid Khan was a better bowler last year.
Also, he came back from injury.
Remember Rashid Khan's coming back from injury.
Yeah.
I remember chatting with Chris Morris once. He says, when you do your back, you go through a long period of rehab.
Yeah.
And when you're doing your rehab, your other muscles are getting weaker. And now when you suddenly come back to bowl, your back is okay, but your other muscles aren't ready yet. Yeah. So I had this chat with Rashid Khan one day, and he said, then knee pains a little.
Yeah.
Something else pains a little. I don't think this year Rashid Khan was back to 100%.
Yeah.
And there's a lot said about Hardik Pandya. Hardik Pandya was an outstanding GT player.
He was, I'll tell you.
Outstanding GT player.
Yeah.
So suddenly there's no Hardik Pandya. Rashid Khan is not the player, and there's no Shami. And the only person who could have lifted that side was Shubman Gill.
And he had an 88, 90 run season last year.
Yeah. It's jaw dropping. I promise you not. There were 2 innings. I was working on those games and I was doing this. Like, jaw, get back, get back, get back. That's how Shubman Gill was batting. Yeah.
Overacting, sir.
50
rupees. Sir, 50 rupees overacting. Sir,
Fine.
please. करने पड़ेगा. Yes, please. So बहुत देर से बहुत serious हो गया. मैंने कहा थोड़ा सा भी करना पड़ेगा. The one thing I did see though, because last year I did a podcast with GT, so I spent a lot of time with that team. The one thing I did notice with Hardik was, and it was that he had a lot of time for his players. Right, he was not the oldest, but definitely one of the most experienced players. Definitely, one of the most experienced Indian players. And there was only one, and Mohammad Shami gave that narrated that incident where Mohammad Shami is senior to him. So Mohammad Shami did say that there was one when Hardik turned to me and said something on the field, and I went after the match to him and I said, "Whatever you want to say to me, say it off the field. Don't say it on the field like that." And he said that Hardik, to his credit, said, "I'm so sorry. I won't do it again," right? That for me is a sign of actually a good leader, right? Where a leader who says, man management is my thing, that's what I need to do. I can't treat everybody the same. People have to be treated differently, and as a leader, you need to understand that, right, Joy?
Absolutely. Understand your boundaries, and I think that's what... See, when he walked in as leader of GT, he walked into an ideal situation because it's a greenfield opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay, and Nehra has your back as this thing, and you will rarely find, even now, of course, Kirsten may not be there with them, as good a supporting cast of, the back room as you will find with Nehra and Vikram Solanki, Ashish Kapoor, the whole lot of them, they come together beautifully, and they've done it for those 2 years. You've taken that guy away from that, put him into a high pressure cooker, which is Mumbai, which is a completely different thing. So you're not going to get those results. But coming back to these guys are there, but the cricket that they played, the cricket that Ashish Nehra lives by, is having bowlers win matches for you.
Yeah.
Okay, batters doing it, having bowlers win matches for you. Firstly, you didn't have the bowling attack this year, which you normally do. Secondly, their cricket was about getting 180 and defending it on a consistent basis. That game also now, this year...
Changed this year.
Has changed.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say GT overperformed in those 2 years. Why they overperformed is something we need to study. Okay. Because it was a great example of simple players all coming together and being better players than you thought they were.
Yeah.
There's something in the air in Gujarat Titans. And then Shubman Gill had that wow season last year. Shami had that wow season. But that doesn't just happen.
I want to see that chart again because there's something interesting there. I mean, just the numbers, 8.71 versus 9.61 is a huge difference.
Yeah.
All these differences are big. 4.8 versus 7.8. Number of sixes you hit, they don't hit enough sixes.
No.
And if you see that, they're averaging 6, 7 sixes a match.
Yeah.
The IPL average is about 12, 13 sixes a match.
You see their rank, no? It's the 10th in all of that. So
all of those categories.
Their batting is definitely not delivered this year.
You just close your eyes and say, who is Gujarat Titans? Who was Gujarat Titans this year? You think of RCB, you say, yeah, that was him. You think of SRH, you say, yeah, this. I think
You're right.
of-
There's not a player
Close your
that
eyes and
stands
say,
out.
who was Gujarat Tigers?
You're right.
this
Do you
year?
think Shubman could not mark his or stamp his kind of captaincy on this team? His personality couldn't, right?
No. Maybe it's too early. I don't know.
Yeah. No, we're talking about this season, the season that we played.
Maybe it's too early for him as captain to be
Yeah.
this dominant force.
Yeah, so he's got 420 runs after an
Yeah.
890 run season. It's less than half the runs he had last year.
420 is a good season if 5 others have got those runs.
Yeah, that's not the season you need from him, and not from him as captain, as the best bat from last year. He needed to shoulder a lot more as a batter.
Somebody got 500 runs this year for them. Did you even realize? I didn't. I looked and said, oh, wow.
Sai Sudarshan.
Correct.
Yeah.
Quietly, he's gone and got 500 runs.
Yeah.
That is GT. Quietly, they surprise you. Oh, that's what Tewatia did. I know Tewatia is an explosive player. Oh, that's what Tewatia did. Wow. They had a lot of these. Did he really do that? And there was only one player who did that this year.
Yeah.
And there's one other problem, which is that the model, because the spinners love him, of Riddhiman keeping and therefore happening to open him, that model does not work in an IPL where 200 run scores are made, because Riddhi, even at his best, is a 130, 140 scorer in the power play. The one match that they opened with Sai Sudarshan and Gill, you just see the results. When those two got off together and they just smashed the opposition, it just changed the way matches are set up.
Yeah.
And I think that's the model moving forward. They have to either find a replacement for Riddhi who's as good, which is the most difficult thing in the world, or they have to find another place for him to bat, because they certainly cannot move away from batting Sai Sudarshan and Shubman Gill up front. That's the model that's
They
worked.
have to.
Yeah. Well, if you had to retain one foreign player and one Indian player from GT.
Very simple. You'd retain Shubman Gill and Rashid Khan.
Okay.
Despite injuries, despite anything, Shubman, Rashid, because they're standout, and they are the talismans of that team. That team, they won one year and came in the finals with 2 balls away from winning another final because of those 2 players primarily.
Shubman will be a better batter next year.
Yeah.
And Rashid Khan will be back to full fitness, will be a better player next year.